Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the 105 leFH18B2, the French Tier 5 premium SPG that most people know as a leFhy or a leaf blower, and we know as Fifi La Pew Pew. And this one is on the east spawn of Sand River Encounter under the command of Targy. Now, we featured Targy in a double replay about a week ago, and he managed to score a Starks medal. He wasn't the only one who got one. Somebody else did too. Mike 1963_1. Now, Starks medals are fairly difficult to get because you have to suffer at least 2 hits from the enemy, lose 2/3 of your hit points, or potentially 2/3 from suffering a hit that didn't penetrate or the like, and also to get at least 2 kills. And so, yeah, most people don't qualify for a Starks because you have to survive the battle and you have to be there at the end of the game and still alive, and it's very difficult to get that, especially if you're in a losing team. So yeah, very, very difficult games indeed. Well, rounds out on that enemy. It was a T28, the tier 4. Oh, is it tier 4? I think it is tier 4. I'm pretty sure it's a tier 4 Soviet medium tank. Lining the shots up. It's got very thin armor, at T28, so you only need to get the shells near to actually do some damage to them, but it helps if you can actually get a direct hit. If you do get a direct hit, you might get a penetration, and that could be as much as 410 alpha, and it's got 58mm of pen, the 105mm. It's a light field howitzer, actually 53mm of pen, sorry. It's a light field howitzer. That means it's the smaller of the 2 howitzers that the Germans produce. They produce a 15cm as well as the 105. The 105 is the most produced. They did have an 88mm gun, but that was actually an anti-aircraft gun, a flak gun. And they put that into anti-tank use because it had a very fast shell velocity, which meant that when they fired it at the enemy, yeah, they had a pretty good chance of hitting it very quickly. And with the right shell, I mean, it was good at use at aircraft, which tend to move very quickly. With the right shell, it could literally tear apart an enemy tank. But anyway, the 88 was not the most produced gun that the Germans produced. Yep, they produced far more 105s than anything else. And this particular Arty actually had one direct hit there right on the front of that 25 TP, and it went straight through for 433, a high roll. He's now trying to get the T1 heavy. In fact, he's just noticed a P2640. Oh, he got him as well, but he didn't pen him. He just got the engine deck instead. Oh, his teammate just whacked him into him and spun him around, and then Targy got the kill shot. Not very nice for that T1 heavy to do that, because he's then ended up causing his teammate to die. Okay, in the cap, the enemy's got a BT7. It's a close shot. It's now aiming towards a Semavente M41, one of the new Italian tank destroyers. Very similar to a Stug. And in fact, the Germans like them so much, even after Italy surrendered, they kept the factories up in, I believe it was in Milan or in the north of Italy, still operating to produce more of these because they liked them. They were actually very effective. Of course, this version, the 720 M41, I believe only has a 75mm gun, but some of their tank destroyers, the Italian tank destroyers, had a 105mm gun. Oh, he's been spotted! Yep, somebody's got very, very close to Targy, and he's just received a hit from an M8A1. And I believe it's the KV1 who's spotting him, but the M8A1 is way up, and he's just taken 2 hits from that M8A1. I think he's got the 75mm gun, because the amount of damage he did was around the 115 mark, so yeah, that's unfortunate. Oh, but he puts a round in on that KV1. He doesn't get the kill, the gorilla does, but that guy's out of the game, and that means that he has survived, but he's lost Oh, it looks like at least 2/3 of his hit points there is saying 28% left, and he's taken 2 hits, so he's qualified on two of the conditions, the preconditions for getting a Starks. And say, Starks are very difficult to get. Most people only find out they've got a Starks at the end of the game, and it's a bit of a surprise. You don't generally set out to get a Starks because you don't want to get hit if you're in an Arty, because it can be fatal. But since the Fifi is actually built on a heavy tank, it can take quite a bit of damage and still survive. Usually it's light tanks who are ramming into the Fifi. They think that they can do a lot of damage that way. Unfortunately, they find out that it's a little light tank ramming a heavy tank, and when that happens, normally the light tank dies very quickly. It's like a bug on a windshield. Okay, well, one of the enemy tank destroyers has decided to come into the cap area. You can see he's been hit before by somebody else, and oh, that was so close, just to the right of him. Now he's using the Rex for cover, which is really bad news if you are up against an Arty, because Arty can fire over Rex into targets. Okay, the other 7 Vente is overlooking the cap from the north bank. He's trying to get a shot in, fires one, and no, that hits the ground prematurely. The standard reload on this Arty is 8.92 seconds, and we can see that the targy's got 7.01, so he's actually improved his reload time considerably. You don't get a whole lot of ammo. In fact, you only get 50 rounds. That's an increase from what it used to be. It used to be only 42 rounds. They bumped up to 50, but targy is actually carrying 8 rounds of heat ammunition and 6 rounds of armor piercing. Now that could be a problem because you have to get a direct hit in order for those things to work. If they do get a direct hit, they normally do a lot of damage. He's only got 11 rounds of HE left. He can't fire at that Panzer 38 nur Art because he's hiding in the rib bed at the moment, and the VK is going to get wiped out if he carries on like that. Yeah, he's definitely trying to kill, but no, he fails. He does get taken out by that Panzer 38 nur Art in the end. Okay, well, we've got a Semavente trying to make its way towards the cap, but he's actually fighting up against 2 enemy tanks in, 2 of our tanks in the cap area, 1 in the cap area and 1 next to it. And he's going to find it very, very difficult up against them, especially our Semavente, because he's near full health, whereas the enemy one, well, he's not. The enemy Arty just killed our Matilda. Of course, their Semavente was spotting for him, and now our Semavente is going to be on the receiving end of Arty rounds. He's gone around the corner trying to deal with the Semavente from behind. Oh, and the kill shot goes in, and it was the Su-85 who got the kill in the end. There's only 4 left on the enemy team. 2 of them are Arty. They've got a Gorilla and an M41 HMC. We've got 5 in our team, and 2 of those are near the cap area. For the moment, targy's decided to go down into this little pit for safety's sake, and the enemy can't spot him, but he can hit the cap area. I think he's wondering if that enemy M8A1, the one that hit him earlier in the game, is actually going to come down and try and find him. We haven't seen the AMX-40 yet. The M8A1 has been spotted, but not the AMX-40. That's, of course, the Duck of Death. And we are now capping to try and force the enemy to come out and play. There's the Duck of Death. Now, many of you may know that I've actually played this particular light tank with... Oh, he got a direct hit on the top of the cupola. I played this little tank with HE only before they did the HE nerf. And it's absolutely hilarious if you play this thing with HE only. It's not that difficult to play, but it is actually quite funny. Now, our Panzer Achtung 30 nur Art's actually got behind the duck and was actually trying to shoot him in the rear. Rounds out. Oh, kill shot. That's 2 kills now for targy. He's fulfilled all the conditions except one, and that's to stay alive to the end of the game. But there's only 2 enemies left, and they're both Arty, the Gorilla and the M41 HMC. And they're going to have to come down to the cap if they want to stop the cap, because they can't see the cap. The view range of a Gorilla and an M41 HMC are particularly short range. I can actually look them up for you here, because I've actually got the sheets in front of me. The Gorilla has got a view range of 260 meters, and the M41 is also 260 meters, so they have to get very, very close to see the cap, and if they do, they'll probably be spotted by our guys in the cap, because of course we do have a light tank in the cap, and they do have a very long view range, possibly as long as 400 meters. So it is possible that targy might get a spotting on the enemy tank as he's approaching, or the enemy Arty rather. But the other thing is that targy is in the PP, and the PP has a view range of 390 meters, much longer than theirs. And now we can see the tracer. We know where the enemy Arty are. They are up near the enemy cap area, or the enemy spawn area I should say, and our Su-85 has gone up there to try and find them. And targy, well, he's moving north along the riverbed, trying to get closer so he can get a direct hit as soon as the Su-85 spots them. I have a suspicion that the enemy Arty might be in grid square A1, because the Su-85 hasn't found him yet, and he's moving there, and he's found him. Okay, come on targy, you can do it. One more kill, please. There's... oh! Well, the Gorilla goes out of action, taken out by our Gorilla, and now we're dialing in on the M41. Rounds out, long flight time. Unfortunately, he moves forward, and it looks like our teammates are going to get him. Yep, and that's the end of the game. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was a second-class tanker for targy in the 105 leFH18B2. He managed to get a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 9 in that battle. And yes, he did end up with another Starks medal. In fact, he told me he's been collecting them, masses of them, over the recent couple of months. He just keeps on getting them for some reason. He just keeps putting himself in danger, I think, and then he keeps getting shot, and then he wins the battle afterwards after getting a couple of kills. Very difficult to get these Starks medals, I can tell you. Quite a few times I've been hit by the enemy. I don't intentionally try to get them, but quite a few times I think that I've had a Starks medal, but it turned out I didn't, because either I didn't get enough hits by from the enemy tank. I maybe took 1 hit or 2, and I didn't lose enough hit points, or I didn't get enough kills. But they are very difficult to get, and he did get another Starks out of this one. His win rate for the battle was 3,926. Let's have a look at the team score and see how he did. Well, according to this, he actually got the second highest damage in the game, because the Su-85, who did survive, got a high caliber and 1,683 hit points, whilst targy picked up the Starks medal and 1,416, with the third place player being the Gorilla on the enemy team, who actually picked up a Defender and a Confederate and got 1,253. So he was responsible for resetting the cap a few times, and I think the help that he had was from his Semovente M41, who was actually spotting for him whilst he was resetting the cap. When it came to kills, it was the Su-85. He got 5 kills in the game. Our Gorilla managed to get 3, and targy managed 2 alongside the Matilda, and only 2 players on the enemy team managed to get more than 1 kill, and that was the BT7 and their 25 TP. And when it came to base XP, it was the Su-85 again with 868, with targy getting 807, and the third place player being the Excelsior with 657. He fired 33 rounds in that game. He got 7 direct hits on the enemy and 3 penetrations and 5 splash. Damage of 1,416 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters rather. 2 hits received from the enemy, both penetrations, both came from that M8A1, the Scot, who managed to spot him whilst the KV-1 was alive. The moment the KV-1 got killed, the M8A1 couldn't see him anymore, and that's why he managed to survive. Plus, of course, he did try to drive out of the way so that the guy couldn't see him. He also spotted 2 enemy vehicles, damaged 5 of the enemy, killed 2, and did 588 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 42,861 credits from the game, but got 120,000 for mission completion, 162,861 credits altogether, and after repair and ammunition resupply took away a profit of 157,896 credits from a tier 5 game. 1,210 XP times 2 for the first victory, 484 for this being a premium vehicle, one of only 2 premium Artys in the game. You think Wargaming would have introduced more premium Arty to try and sell them, because after all, they make most of their money from selling these pixel tanks. But nope, they haven't done that, and so there's only 2 in the game, and this is one of them. 2,905 experience points altogether. So very well done to Targy in actually picking up another Starks medal. He just keeps putting himself in danger. I don't know why, but yeah, it must be the style that Targy plays. He just sits out there in the open, and of course the enemy did spot him because he was out in the open, and yeah, that's probably not a safe thing to do. You would have been much better off being in a safer place, maybe in the pit you actually ended up in the end, because from there it's very difficult for the enemy to spot you, but they might spot the tracer coming out from that spot. So yes, maybe think about that. But if you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.